Good afternoon, everybody from Johannesburg, the University of Johannesburg, the Center for Ecological Intelligence. Her Excellency, Madam Esme Jeanette Chombo, the Malawian Ambassador to the United States, moderator for today, Elizabeth Nama Oina, who's the Acting National Director of Civil Society Agricultural Network, panelists, colleagues, and good friends. Not only is it an honor and a privilege, but it is with great excitement and eagerness that I welcome you to this first webinar of a series of webinars. We started these webinars in 2022 with the City of Johannesburg, with Charis and Chivanara Kandaya in Malawi, which was followed by webinars in 2023, addressing unemployment and food security. And now in 2024, our focus is on agripreneurship. Number 17 of the Sustainable Development Goals is about the importance of partnerships and collaboration. And hence this series is a wonderful example of the collaboration and friendship between the Center of Ecological Intelligence at the University of Johannesburg, Moja, and other partners. We are absolutely thrilled that representatives from government, business, corporates, universities, NGOs, and local communities are attending today. Ladies and gentlemen, poverty, unemployment, and other socioeconomic and educational inequalities are widespread. These have a direct impact on smallholder farmers, youth, both men and women, resulting in feelings of despair, feelings of dreariness and disillusionment. We have a solution, and we believe that we can bring light to dispel this darkness. Today, we are embarking on a new journey. So please join us as we need to work together to address the huge and complex problems facing us in Southern Africa and on the African continent. One of the solutions of this light is transformation. This includes a transformative approach of applying broad, multidisciplinary, and multifaceted interventions in tackling these socioeconomic issues in the agricultural sector. Yes, we need to transform arid and unproductive plots into flourishing gardens, food waste into rich compost, and rooftops into green and productive sites. However, it is our educational and training programs which need to transform the way our young farmers think, behave, and become urban agriculturists, entrepreneurs, and run successful agri-businesses. And very importantly, who are confident, with good communication, and who are capable and have got a strong commercial orientation. Most importantly, we want to transform mindsets from attitudes of apathy and disempowerment into ones of purpose, inspiration, and hope. This transformation will enable individuals and groups to take greater responsibility and control of their well-being and environments in which they live and work. Our Center for Ecological Intelligence and our partners is to create a collaboration as change agents that uproot old ideas and changing the ways of how we think, learn, and practice farming, paying specific attention to women and youth, offering tailored training courses and mentorship. However, all of this inclusive and vigorous transformation can only really be achieved by scaling up such programs through tailored agribusiness courses and training. I just wanted to mention in conclusion that South Africa's icon, Nelson Mandela, was allocated a small plot while he was in the Pollsmoor prison. He loved planting, tending, cultivating, and harvesting the produce he grew, and he took responsibility for it and was the custodian for his vegetable patch. So too, we need to demonstrate our responsibility and leadership by sowing seeds in the mindsets of our youth, cultivating competency and commercialization, and thereby transforming the financial potential into successful farming enterprises. Only then can we be assured that we are planting for the future. I wish you all a wonderful and successful webinar today and to continue with this wonderful work. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Michael. Honor to Madame Esme Chombo and all the important stakeholders that are with us right here. You're with me, Elizabeth Namaona. I'll be your moderator throughout. So thank you so much. Before much I do, let's have our guest speaker to give her remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. And I want to thank Professor Rudolph for the opening remarks. I speak to you from Washington, D.C., and I want to acknowledge, firstly, the organizers of this webinar, very important webinar, Moja, Malawi Limited, and its partners, CISNET, National Youth Council of Malawi, Luana, Center for Ecological Intelligence at the University of Johannesburg, and Charis Farms for organizing this webinar and their contributions in not just in Malawi, but in Southern Africa agriculture sector. Malawi has very great potential. Firstly, I want to speak about Malawi in the agriculture sector. As many of you know, that the economy of Malawi actually depends on agriculture. Yeah, now things are beginning to change because God has now blessed us with minerals, but those are yet to be exploited. But we'll speak about agriculture because it is the bedrock to building the economy of Malawi and to transform Malawi into a middle-income economy as it has been planned by 2030. The last 3 or 4 years, Malawi has been the victim of drastic effects of climate change with unprecedented crises, including cyclones, dry spells, and flooding, which caused food insecurity and loss of livelihoods for many. And you know that most of those in agriculture are women, but when the family suffers, everybody suffers. Production is not the only concern. Although agriculture output is currently enough to feed some of the country, parts of the country, a lot of people are still suffering from hunger because of the flooding and the dry spell, El Nino effects that we had. But then we've got to look at the global population projected to reach over 9 billion by 2050. There will be a significant increase in the demand for food, and the agri-food industry must produce more food with fewer resources while also addressing sustainability concerns. As many of you know, the more people, the more the population grows, the less land we have, because whilst population expands, the lands do not expand. It's the same land. And so there's need for the agri-food sector which is very critical for livelihood and employment, to come up with innovative ways of producing more to meet the demands of the population. Agriculture has been traditionally a labor-intensive industry. And I think that mostly that's why most young people, though they are unemployed, they don't find agriculture to be attractive, or they don't find it to be a way of business, because they have seen their parents going to the garden with a hoe, doing work in the heat, and then they take their produce, they sit by the roadside to sell some bananas or some tomatoes and so on. So agriculture has not, for that reason, been attractive to the young people. But now is the time to step into a rapid digital revolution. The transition to digital agriculture is being highlighted as a growing need to bridge the digital skills gap and improving digital literacy levels across the agriculture sector. We cannot run away from this fact. It has come here to stay with us, and we must embrace it for what it is and for the good that it will do to us. Most developed economies, agriculture has undergone a series of revolutions that have driven efficiency, high yields, profitability, and very obviously to attainable levels. If Malawi and Southern Africa is to commercialize its agricultural arid increase, productivity, we cannot run away from digitalization. As a country, we are blessed with natural resources. We are blessed with good lands. We are blessed with lots and lots of water. And so we need to make use of that. Digitalization is changing every part of the agri-food chain. For example, value chains will become traceable and coordinated at the most detailed level, whilst different fields, crops, ecosystems, and individual animals can be accurately managed to their own optimal order. Digital technologies such as artificial intelligence and robotics are transforming the way food is produced, processed, and distributed by enabling real-time monitoring of critical conditions such as temperature and moisture. These technologies offer several benefits, including increased efficiency, improved product quality, safety, reduced waste, and environmental sustainability. Digital communication platforms and the internet will allow access to numerous new and distant markets, especially for small farmers. This will help farmers receive fair pay for what they produce, because when farmers get the information they need in a timely manner, they can ensure food is sent to the right market and sold at a fair price. Research and development play an important role in the agriculture sector, as it leads to an increase in productivity and industry growth. Therefore, there is need for agripreneurs to consider investing in research and extension work development units, which will help to facilitate information flow, expand markets, improve quality, and increase profits. And of course, improve people's livelihoods. Mobile applications and web-based platforms have facilitated the dissemination of agricultural knowledge, empowering farmers with up-to-date practices. I have no doubt that this digitization of agriculture will also help to bring up literacy levels in our people, especially where illiteracy seems to be a blockage for people to move into the digital transformation and digitalization of agriculture. ICT-based extension services promote equitable access to information, leading to enhanced agricultural productivity and sustainability. By investing in ICT, access to the internet, smartphones, sensor-based technologies, and digital technologies, agribusiness firms and farmers will be technologically ready and able to expand their market. An increase in technology adoption will lead to productivity and efficiency. The need to embrace digital transformation, which will not only bring new opportunities, but also create value at local, national, international levels and enable businesses to expand their markets and create social and economic growth. Digital agriculture will create systems that are highly productive, predictive, adaptable to changes such as those caused by climate change. This, in turn, could lead to greater food security, profitability, and sustainability. Once again, I want to thank the organizers and also the participants for their commitment to digitalization in agriculture, and especially that they will be inviting the youth to look at food production as a business, a viable business that they can engage in, a viable business that will change lives, that will change the economics of countries, a viable business that is waiting to look at unemployment, to change the, so many young people and young women that finish school and yet they are just loitering around waiting for white-collar jobs. This is the way to go. And so that's why I would like to congratulate all the organizers, Moja, and all the partners that are taking part. I want down the line to see how we are moving on and how we are changing the food market and how we are changing even the economies of our countries because we are going digital in food production. Thank you so much. May God bless our lands, may God bless our resources, and may God bless the workforce that is going to go into this field and to begin to change the mindset of our people about agriculture and agricultural production. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Her Excellency, for the wonderful opening remarks. And we are happy that the webinar now is formally opened. I forgot to do one thing when I was starting. I think we were supposed to do some introductions, but looking at the numbers of the participants herein, I would ask kindly just drop down your name and the organization that you're coming from. That will be much appreciated from the organizers. Thank you. Just few housekeeping items. We have some panelists that have joined us and in this webinar. I would like to kindly ask that you, as they'll be making their brief presentations on the questions that I'm going to ask them, if you have any question, just drop it down in the chat box, or else at the end, just raise your hand so that we should be we should handle everything in a modest way. And please note that you are supposed to, if you are writing in the chat box, indicate your name and the organization. We don't want the questions to be anonymous. Now I would like to introduce to you the panelists. And before I do that, just know that our conversations today, they are in three folds. We are focusing on extension, linkage to markets, and the access to insurance. So let me check. Do we have Dr. Paul Fachi? Just give me.
I'm here.
Thank you so much. Do we have Mr. Gilbert Banda?
Yes, I'm here, flesh
Thank
and blood.
you so much. Do we have Devsan Chikazunga?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. And Naomi Mwansa?
I'm here.
Thank you so much. We are so blessed to have you with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Fachi, who is an expert in extension and is also a president for MAFAS. He is going to expose challenges in extension service that Malawi is facing, with a case study and how might digital technology like mobile app assist in the solution in accelerating food systems. Mr. Gilbert, he will focus on markets, and Mr. Davison will focus on access to finance and insurance. And Naomi is going to take us through the Moja app afterwards. So let me start with Dr. Fudge. Allow me to switch off my camera. I'm having some connectivity issue. Great. So Dr. Fachi, I understand you are an expert in the agriculture sector, especially the extension arm. So we just want to understand from extension service, are the smallholder farmers being reached with climate smart agriculture techniques using the traditional method of extension service? And what is the landscape of extension service in Southern Africa?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be in here. I stand on existing protocols. Just a correction. I'm not the president of MAFAS. The president is Dr. Masangano, and the other chairperson for the executive committee is Mr. George Virili, the chairperson of the continental chapter, which is the African Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services, AFAS. And I'm also the head of extension department at Luana. Now, coming to your question, are the smallholder farmers being reached with climate smart agriculture information? The answer is yes, but not to the extent that is required. As you know, there are a lot of needs out there. Just looking at Southern Africa and even Malawi in particular, we are faced with the concurrent and successive climate variability problems, where we have droughts, dry spells, short rainy season durations, late start of rainy season, early stop of the rainy season. In the Middle East, we are also having the cyclones, and then we also have floods. It's just a conglomeration of issues. Yet, at the same time, farmers are supposed to adapt, to recover. You need extension services that help people to choose enterprises wisely. You want to have services that make farmers to be able to change within the season itself. So the need is much, much greater, such that the traditional means of reaching out to them are not really reaching adequately. Why is it the case? One being the fact that the population of farmers is growing faster than the establishment, whereby in the past you used to have only one extension worker dealing with 500 to 700 farmers. Now one extension worker is dealing with more than 3,000 farmers. As you can see there, it's almost impossible for the extension worker to adequately serve the farmers. You look at the Southern Africa, actually the situation is even worse in some countries, whereby in some countries, the extension service is almost totally non-existent, in the sense that you don't have the extension workers on the ground, they are not being trained. So the need is greater than the supply of extension services using the traditional methods, because we're looking factors like having proper access to the markets. Whatever you produce must be able to go to the markets, and some of the products that farmers are producing under the climate challenges may not be good enough for the markets. The markets are just not there. So the services needs are quite high. We are not currently able to meet the needs that are there as extension in Malawi and also even in Southern Africa. And certainly we need alternative and complementary means, including the digital solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The other follow-up question was, what is the landscape of extension now in Southern Africa in broader perspective?
So I think I did mention that in broader perspective, I think the landscape is not that promising. In the sense that just like Malawi, most of the countries have inadequate number of extension workers, and we also don't have extension policies in most of the countries. Actually, I would say across Africa, we only have less than 10 countries that have extension policies. And that has a profound impact, in the sense that when it is time to prioritize investments in extension, where you don't have policies, you will not see any privatization, because the policies are principles that guide the government to say, okay, this is an important aspect, let us fund it and make sure that it delivers. So the extension that we are having now, most of the times in Southern Africa, is about choice of varieties, it's about use of inorganic inputs, it's about chemicals to deal with pests and diseases, and it does not go beyond that. We don't have adequate services that can capacitate farmers to have information on what to do exactly in any situation that they are meeting that is caused by the climate change and climate variability. That is a gap that we have in the whole Southern Africa. There is no information, there's not enough information to prepare farmers, to provide opportunities and to provide solutions to the problems that the farmers are facing. The moment we are faced with any hiccup, right away, the governments are forced to actually set an alarm to say we have a disaster in our country, we have a crisis in our country. Why? Because the extension services are not able to quickly and adequately prepare farmers to address the problems that are there, that are created by the climate problems that are there. So indeed, we have quite a big problem in the Southern Africa, in that the numbers are low, the solutions are not there, and the extension itself is not geared towards being adaptive enough to support farmers in different situations that they are meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pofaj. Gilbert, can you please explain to us, how does access to markets affect agricultural productivity and commercialization in the Southern Africa? How does access to markets affect agricultural productivity and commercialization? And are there already leading markets for the smallholder farmers?
Okay, so thank you very much for that a fantastic question. I love the question because for me, it's part of the day-to-day activities that I deal with in terms of dealing with people in agribusiness. And I think what requires to be done is more to really first sensitization So when you ask the critical question, for any business, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in any enterprise that you set up, the starting point for that particular business is always market. If you have no market, you have no business. So if you look at the things that are produced in agriculture, whether you're talking about maize, you're talking about sunflower, you're talking about groundnuts, whatever you talk about, the fact that we have such a huge population in Southern Africa, the fact that we have people that are constantly utilizing those products tells you there is a market. So the existence of a market is there. What is not there, in my view, is the lack of creating what we call value chains. That, the people that are going into maize farming or the people that are going into groundnut farming, we should be able to create a whole value chain from end to end, from the people that supply inputs, the people that are going to plant, the people that are going to focus on the distribution of that, the people that are going to process. So if you develop that whole value chain, you find that it is easy for us to be able to deal with issues of markets. Because markets, let's face it, everybody, when they go into a business, they're looking, where will I sell? When farmers, because the challenge that we have is that a lot of people go into farming, like let's say when the rains come, an average African man, when they see the rains falling, they'll start planting. But they plant not really thinking about markets. But if you're going to do it as a business, as an agribusiness, if you're going to promote agripreneurship, we need to ensure that we have this shift in mindset, that it's not just a case of planting. It's first to identify who will be able to buy my products. And when you have established that, then you can be able to plant your crop. But a lot of farmers will plant their crop and then they start waiting for either government or somebody else to create a market for them. But if we're going to promote a spirit of enterprise and entrepreneurship, agripreneurship, then we need to ensure that we sensitize our farmers to focus more in developing value chains, but also to look at another aspect, which I consider as important, is in adding value. Because let's talk for instance, tomato farmers. A lot of the times when tomato farmers go into tomato business, when they grow their tomatoes, they find themselves at pains to sell because tomato first has a very short shelf life. And because it has a very short shelf life, it means they need to sell it so quickly when it is ready. But if they are going to sell so quickly, it means that, they need to create a form whereby that tomato can be put on a shelf to wait for the market. Because if you're going to only sell when the market is there, that is the reason why there are a lot of farmers who throw away their tomatoes because there's nobody to buy when there's a glut on the market. But if you did value addition, we'll be able to create that market, not only in their locality, but across borders or beyond borders. So when we're talking about, to answer to your question, is there a market for agriculture? The market is extensive, it's massive. What lacks, in my view, is the ability to add value. What lacks, in my view, is the ability to be able to just create a whole chain, to be able to link the producers to the market. So those market linkages are the ones that are normally the deal breakers. I'll give you an example here in Zambia. ShopRite or these mines, they buy a lot of agricultural products, but a lot of small producers say there's no market for chickens, and yet the mines buy tons and tons of chickens. What is missing is really either the value add or to put them in an abattoir where they are processed so that when you are taking to the mine has certified that this particular product you brought on the market has been able to pass through a process whereby you can be able to have traceability, it is hygienic, and so forth. Without that kind of linkage, you find that the market for the mines will be begging. People will be thinking there's no market for chickens, and yet there's a massive market. So if you look at the export markets have, I'll give you an example for moringa. I've been promoting moringa in this region for some time. most people say, I planted moringa, but I have no market. It's not that there's no market. The challenge which is there for moringa farmers that, when they plant their moringa, then they can't convert it into a form or into a standard which is accepted by the market. So when they can't take a product that is certified or certified organic or market, they'll be thinking there's no market for moringa, and a lot of moringa farmers have been cutting down their trees. What has been missing is that linkage to link these farmers to either value addition or standardization so that they take a product to the market, because markets have certain demands. And if you don't meet those demands, you think there's no market. So your question is, there is a market, but that market needs to be developed, needs to be nurtured, and the farmers as well need to be educated so that they have the knowledge. Hence comes in digitization, because digitization melts borders. Digitization helps us to be able to do a lot of things online. You can imagine here, I have the privilege to share this platform with the ambassador to Malawi in the United States. So you can see how the digital platform can be used to revolutionize this whole market development, because using social media, whether you're using Facebook, you're using Instagram, if we use that to develop markets to be able to take our products to the world, then we will not be crying about that there's no market. So therefore, we are failing to develop agricultural development. We have good climates. The ambassador has ably said that. We have water. We have everything that is, to enable us to grow these things. The challenge is we're not creating linkages, we're not educating our farmers, and we're not using technology and innovation to be able to reach the marketplace. Thank you.
Perfect. Such wonderful insights. So what I've taken note, we need to use NED. That's my own abbreviation that I've come up with. Nurturing the markets, educating the farmers, developing structured markets that will be able to link the farmers with the off-takers. Wonderful. So, Mr. Davison, I understand you're in agri-financing. What is the landscape like? Are these products available for the farmers? And are the farmers aware of them? And do they have access? How can you take us through the agri-financing perspective? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. One of my part-time jobs, I'm a financial arranger, meaning that I match those who are looking for funds and those with the funds. So this industry, and I've written a number of documents in the region, looking at case studies in Zimbabwe and Malawi and other countries in the East. So the issue of agriculture finance is an important topic when it comes to commercialization of smallholder agriculture, because we must understand that smallholder farmers is not a homogeneous group. Actually, from literature, there are three categories of smallholder farmers. Number one, there's what we call subsistence farmers, those who produce enough to eat. Then there are semi-commercial farmers who produce part to eat and part to sell. Then there are those who are fully commercialized. In terms of distribution in the region, but it varies from country to country, but I'll just put a generic picture. So the subsistence group contributes between 20 to the north of 50%. It's lower in the southern part, especially South Africa, but it goes higher as we go up to Zambia, Malawi, and East Africa. Then the bulk of our farmers who are cross-border farmers, they are semi-commercial farmers who are growing for the market. So when you grow for the market, you need to produce at scale. So the demand for finance starts when you want to produce for the market, because if you are to produce for the market, there's a minimum amount of product which you need to grow. I'm just taking from the page from the last speaker. So when you are growing for the market demands a certain quality, certain quantity. So for you to be able to meet the market specification, you need to invest. So in terms of funding, there are three types of funding which a farmer needs to look at. Number one, it's your own funding, which is your own equity. There are farmers who can provide 100% equity for what they want to farm. But in most cases, given that there's high levels of poverty with between 40 to 70% of people in the rural areas living below the poverty datum line. They don't have enough equity to put in the agriculture. So what it means, every farmer wants to go into semi-commercial agriculture or commercial agriculture needs to get investment so that he can grow the right crop for the right market. So when we look at the market for the type of investment which you can attract, there are two sources of support in terms of finance. Number one is credit. Number two is equity. Credit is usually offered by formal banks, but we must also acknowledge that in Africa, we have other forms of credit, alternative credit. We call them informal, but I would like to call them alternative. So we have saving groups. We have, we call them machonistas, money lenders. That's an informal group. They actually the foundation which supports most smallholder farmers, because most smallholder farmers, they don't qualify to get credits from banks. When banks across Africa looks at a smallholder farmer, they see risk all the way from production, management, everything. Yes, because smallholder farmers, number one, they don't have infrastructure which allows them to address risk in terms of irrigation, in terms of other things which help them to de-risk. So in most cases, banks, they don't touch smallholder farmers. But it depends. What we have found that in South Africa, banks, they don't work with smallholder farmers. But as you go up into Africa, banks have been innovative in terms of developing products to work with smallholder farmers. So in terms of credit, that's the market. Then there's what we call investors, equity investors. So equity investors comes in two forms. Number one, you can have a person who wants to put money in your production. We usually call them crowdfunding, where you then do sharecropping, profit sharing on the crop, which is called sharecropping. Then you have formalized asset managers. These are the guys who are fund managers who can put money in your project. But you also have another category which is central to Africa, which is called contract farming. So contract farming is a critical role when it comes to financing smallholder farmer, because a farmer is given finance at the back of an offtake to produce a certain crop. So that's usually a safe mechanism. We call it a hybrid model, which addresses the risk of the farmer as well as the financier, because the financier at the end of the day, he has access to the product which he can sell. Contract farming has been one of the tools which has been used to finance agriculture in Southern Africa. But what I want to talk about is the issue of which we are talking today in terms of mobile financing. What has happened, the advent of mobile phones, they've actually revolutionized the way we can de-risk smallholder farmers. Number one, when banks are looking at giving you a loan, they want to see your credit risk, your credit history. So what we found that there are companies which are innovating in helping farmers to create what we call financial diaries, so that when you apply for funding, the banker can see your credit history and can determine risk level, and then can decide how much you can get. Number two, you can also give them the digital tools which are being used now. You can also access what you call weather-based risk insurance products. These are products which some of the mobile companies are offering, like EcoCash in Zimbabwe, M-Pesa in Kenya, whereby you buy off-shelf risk insurance products. At the back of that risk insurance product, it's usually easier for people who want to fund you either institutionally or otherwise. So the advent of mobile phones is actually a platform where we are going to be driving financial literacy, because it's not only access to fund, but it comes with a bundle of support. On the mobile phone, you can get a production support in terms of how to grow it, how to troubleshoot any other challenge we should be facing, either pests or diseases. You can also use the same mobile phone to train for training. That's what Moja is going to be doing. You can use the same mobile phone via your wallet to save. You can also invest in other entities. In fact, it has resulted in a new form of funding, which is called crowdfunding. So what crowdfunding is people, they work with a farmer who is producing a crop, because they have knowledge on what this farmer is doing through sharing of information through mobile platform. They can invest in a farmer in return for a profit. So the digital finance technologies, they are the way to go, and they are the future. But there is still a lot of work to be done in terms of, number one, to understand the demand side. Most studies which has been done, they've not conclusive on the role of mobile technology in terms of demanding financial products, because there's another layer which is required when you are using a mobile platform, which is called digital literacy, which most of our communities in the smaller sector, they don't have. So there's need to invest in what we call digital literacy. But that digital literacy must also go with the latest technologies, because most of the bank language is English. So we can embed the issue of language translators through the large language models, where if a farmer gets message in English, it can be translated into Chewa, into Shona, into Zulu. So that's another area of investment. Then another important area of investment is the price of data. In many countries, the price of data is too exorbitant for smallholder farmers to be able to utilize it on a day-to-day basis. So that's something which must be addressed at a policy level. My last recommendation is that there's need to work with Moja to come up with a sandbox. A sandbox is a pilot where we look at how do we fit different parameters in the product, because there will be the demand side, there will be the supply side, there will be the policy side. So we need to come up with sandbox, because there are certain regulatory policies which are still impeding the full utilization of digital finance. Some of them, they don't affect farmers, but they affect the institutions who, in terms of their risk matrix. Because if a bank wants to work with smallholder farmers, they are usually limited by what they call the capital adequacy ratio. So it's one thing which must be addressed by central governments, to allow banks, especially big banks, to have appetite to borrow to smallholder farmers who are considered as a risky customer. I'll end there, then I'll take any questions. But I think that's the general picture which we need to look when we are considering the issue of digital finance.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chikazunga. That was very great. You're one of the important panelists in this webinar, because whatever we are talking about, we cannot do it without funding. Yes. So I know there are quite a number of questions that are roaring out in the chat box, but we are going to take it from the next session that we are about to do. I would like to introduce our first speaker. Thank you so much, Dr. Fatch, Mr. Gilbert Banda, and Davison, for taking us through quite insightful topics rather. Let me introduce Professor Nyankomo Marwa. Forgive my pronunciation if I have mispronounced your name. So Dr. Marwa is an associate professor of digital transformation, development finance, applied econometrics at the University of Johannesburg under the School of Business. So he's going to take us through a presentation on how digital technology theoretically can revolutionize food systems and youth-led agripreneurship. Dr. Mara, over to you. You have 10 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I believe I'm loud enough, right? Are
Yes,
you able to
loud.
hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear
loud.
you, Doc.
Okay,
Go ahead.
okay, that's good. So I'll be giving a talk on digital technology and entrepreneurship, and I will take the advantage of being the last because most of the things I plan to talk they have been preempted and discussed. The honorable first speaker, she mentioned quite a lot of things. But before I also lost you on the details, we're gonna get a bit details. The talk will be more about the digital technology and how it can influence trade, productivity, and the profitability, and more important, entrepreneurship. I think before we get into really more specifics, I want to mention what does technology does. Technology is always a solution to the problem with the intention to improve the business process and the way we do things, save cost and increase efficiency. So digital technology, like any other technology, it increases efficiency, accessibility for most of the services, including financial services, as Davison have spoke about. Also, it can allow us to scale on different service provisions. And more important, digital technology, it can be more inclusive. For those who are coming from East Africa and also from Zimbabwe, they know what is the role of mobile money is doing. The M-Pesa group, it have really created a great revolution within the greater East Africa. And I know Zimbabwe, they have a similar case, I think they call it EcoCash. So when you talk about inclusive, that's what we mean. But also it really improved the enhanced market. From the global perspective, we all know about Alibaba, Amazon. For those who are coming from East Africa and coming more close to agriculture and entrepreneurship, we have what is called the Twiga Food. I'm going to share some case studies and the actual numbers on Twiga Food. And for those who are from South Africa, you know something like Take a Lot, and also I think Jumuiya is more across Africa. So it really makes it give an opportunity for smallholder farmers to produce locally, but then available into the global marketplace. But also it really significantly increase the ability to transfer knowledge. So that's a kind of really a highlight on what does digital technology can do. So I'm not gonna bore you by repeating all what has been said. I would rather go specifically to 5 case studies and share the impact of those case studies. And the slides will be available for those who need it. But I do have 20 case studies and the potential impact of those 20 case studies. But due to the time, I'll just touch the 5. And then for those who are interested to go into those 20 case studies, they can explore it. But when we talk about digital technology, what do we mean? So digital technology is a set of different technological suites which help to solve different problems, increase efficiency, and also increase scalability. For the purpose of today's discussion, these are dominant digital technologies, and it's not the only digital technologies, but there are some of the dominant digital technologies. One of it is Internet of Things and the sensors, which they play a very bigger role when you want to talk about the robotics and the drones. And also we have drones, which actually they help to do different things, including fertilizer application, disease detections, pesticide applications, delivery of the inputs, and the like. And then we have the blockchain technology, which can be used in different applications, including supply chain management, financial system transformations, traceability, and also ability to raise capital within that space and automated organizations. And then we have artificial intelligence and machine learning, which actually it can mimic most of the activities which human beings are doing. I wish that I could share one of the video, but I didn't have the luxury of doing that. There's actually a robot which also use AI. They're used to harvest to harvest rice. It can harvest rice at the exceptional speed. Personally, I was a son of a farmer. Then I remember how tedious it was to harvest the rice because you have to bend. For some of us, by the time the evening comes, that back is a kind of not yours. But when I saw that robot and the speed at which it can do it and the precision in which it can do it, then I realized that actually the potential of digital technology into agriculture is really increasing significantly. Then we have big data analytics. This is about capturing the data, analyzing the data, then to inform the decisions, but also play a very critical role on monitoring and evaluations. We do have robotics and automations, which they are trying to replace labor-intensive and repeat activities, both within agricultural space and outside agricultural space. And then we have remote sensing technologies for satellite imagery and also other supporting activities. And more important, we have mobile applications which can be used for different activities, including weather, disease detections, and also a kind of digital extension services. We have cloud computing, which is quite important, especially for storage and also for infrastructure for machine learning and artificial intelligence. And even more important, we have 3D printing, which can be used to manufacture different agricultural machineries. So when you talk about digital technologies, it's a set of different technologies. When combined or used in isolation, they create magic solutions. So part of the solution is about knowledge and training. And most of the farmers in sub-Saharan Africa, they are not well trained and their level of education is quite low. And the gap is even more severe when you consider women and the youth. So what digital technology do, it provide learning platforms such as Udemy, Moja, which provide the high quality education at scale. So we have other solutions, including Digital Green, which could play a very important role in terms of learning. But also digital technology can be used in terms of trade. We are going to see some of the use case in Uganda, but also Kenya. We have Twiga Foods, but also it can be used for supply chain financing and transparency and traceability. For those who are into international trade and export, you know that the rules of origin is very important. So actually, it's really quite important and very handy to use blockchain technology to address those issues. In terms of mobile services, I've spoke about M-Pesa, which can be used for insurance service provisions, saving service provisions, access to credit, and also now they're trying to roll over in terms of the investment. So I think let me go straight more into the case studies. So I think I'll start with the first case study. There's a company called Digital Green. This is a technology company in Ethiopia. They provide video-based agricultural training. And as we are speaking now, they have improved the crop productivity and the water conservations among 500 farmers. So you can imagine if you wanted the extension service to train 500 farmers, you could have used a lot of resources. But through digital technology, you can scale that beyond 500 farmers. And another one is called M-Farm. It's a Kenya-based technology. It's a mobile app. It provides real-time market information. It have increased the farmers' income by 20% by providing access to transparency and the market prices. I'll use a very good example from my own experience in the small village in Tanzania. During the harvest season, everybody have harvested, but the farmers, they don't have alternative source of income. So they tend to sell their crops at a very, very low price. And then the brokers, they will buy them at a very, very low price. After 2 to 3 months, they're going to sell them back to the very same farmers at 3 to 4 times the price. But also sometimes the nearby market, they have a better price, but since the farmer, they're not informed, then they are forced to sell at a very, very low price. But with the mobile technology like M-Farm, then you're more informed, then you can make a decision whether you want to take that very low price or you want to take it to the next available market. And then we have another one called Hero Tractor in Nigeria. It's Internet of Things in terms of tractor sharing. It have improved farm productivity by 200% through mechanizations and access for smallholder farmers. So when you talk about digital technology, those actually are some of the impacts which has been recorded, and we can go beyond that. Another one is from Ghana, is called Farmline Technology. They provide SMEs and video messaging for weather and the prices. It have reached more than 200 farmers, and it have increased crop yield by 50% through timely information. And then this year we come into Trigger Foods. It's a Kenyan technology company. It's an e-commerce platform. It's connecting the farmer to the market, both local and global. It provides market access to more than 17,000 smallholder farmers. It have improved income through direct sales. The last one I want to share is linked to the trade. It's called True Trade in Uganda. It's a blockchain-enabled platform for fair trade. It provides transparent and fair prices for more than 40,000 smallholder farmers, and it have increased their income by 15%. So when you talk about the role of digital technology and agripreneurship and the youth, it plays a very critical role. So first of all, those numbers, they speak for themselves. But also, as you link them to the market, actually you create an opportunity for increased productions. And when you give them the right kind of information, then you increase the productivity and the yield. But also, if you link them to the right kind of prices, then the farming business become profitable, then it creates more incentive for you to participate. But also on the supply side of these technologies, most of our youth, they are tech savvy. So they can also create a business of providing and managing this kind of technology, especially for older farmers who they are not tech savvy. So in conclusions, I'm saying that digital technology provide quite a lot of incentives for youth to go into agriculture. This slides is not supposed to read, but it have all 20 different technologies and the impact it have within Africa. And all these case studies, they are case studies which are happening in Africa. So if you have been thinking about whether digital transformation is working or is not working, now you know digital transformation is here to stay and it's working here in Africa. So to conclude, and to make sure that I'm within my 10 minutes, digital technology has revolutionized the way we do training, also the way we trade, and it has led to increased productivity and the profitability. And also it has created quite a huge opportunities for both youth and also for adults into the space. It has succeeded to do so by making the process more efficient, accessible, inclusive, and scalable. So if we leverage these technologies, we believe that individuals in agriculture and other sectors can overcome most of the traditional barriers and push their growth to the next frontier. And we can tap into the new markets and ultimately increase the productivity and the profitability. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Mara, for a great presentation on digital technology. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier on, that if you have any questions, please just drop them down in the chat box. We'll take them at the end of the session. May I invite our second speaker, Naomi Mwasa. So Naomi is the Public Relations and Marketing Manager at Moja, Zambia, an organization that is dedicated to provide a digital marketplace, connection, and digital learning platform. He's going to take us through the digitalization of extension through the Moja Academy. marketplace as the catalyst for market linkages, microfinancing, and by the way, it's already happening on the ground. Naomi, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Good day to everyone. Please allow me to take note of our protocol and other stakeholders that are present in this webinar. I won't waste much of your time. I'll get straight to the chase with our discussion today. I'm sure by now, I'm just carrying on from the previous speakers. By now, you're able to tell that we are talking about solutions to the biggest problems being experienced in Southern Africa. And these problems are food insecurity, which is currently driven by climate change. For example, here in Zambia, drought has affected small-scale farmers. As it is, Zambia, Malawi, and Zimbabwe has been declared a state of emergency because of food insecurity. And the second problem is youth unemployment. Well, in Zambia, with the statistics, it currently shows that as of 2024, only 60% of our population is unemployed. And of this 60%, the majority are the youth. And why is that so? It's very common. Our population is growing. And when these youths are done with education, are done with their tertiary training, there are just no jobs. The jobs that are there are not enough to accommodate everyone into this space. And the unemployment levels are just growing in that line. So this is a very big problem in Southern Africa. And we're just trying to, we're getting into the solutions where we are looking at agri-tech. And most of the youths are not interested in taking up farming. They think it's an old man's job, a poor man's job, because it's practiced mostly in the rural areas by elderly people, and they don't do it on a large scale to show money for it. And youths think farming don't have money. When you get into farming, you don't have money. They don't have access to finances and alike. These are the problems that are there. And with these problems being there are challenges that are limiting. There are challenges that are limiting agricultural productivity among the youth and small-scale farmers. And these challenges are lack of access to markets, lack of access to finance, and lack of access to research-based climate smart farming knowledge. So with my presentation, I'm going to be centered, with my presentation today, I'm going to be centered on how agri-tech is going to help, or rather how agri-tech is going to help innovate and alleviate these challenges in a case study that we have done with Moja. So I will get right through the Moja app in our case study just to show you how this app can help with agri-tech, all right? So in a case study, in this case study of a multi-featured app for a multi-dimensional problem, I've had the privilege to work with this digital technology that can shape the landscape of agriculture in South Africa as well. It is called the Moja app. The Moja app is a multi-featured digital platform created to solve challenges of access to extension services, access to markets, and access to finance. I will show you how this agri-tech knowledge will solve these challenges. We have the Moja Academy. The Moja Academy offers interactive vocational training and skills development with a focus on smart agriculture. And also digital realization of traditional African markets, a culturally contextualized trading platform. We also have the Moja Connect, an in-app messaging system that connects buyers and sellers, creating an instant network for business to business and business to customer businesses. Now, in the Moja Academy, in our case study, we have learned that we can grow, we can increase agricultural productivity through digital education.
Sorry, Naomi,
And to help,
if it's okay for you to share the presentation on the screen with us.
okay, let me see if I can do that. Just give me a second. Elizabeth, I'm having trouble sharing. I'm having trouble sharing my screen because I'm using my mobile phone for the meeting. Yeah.
All right, that's okay. Please proceed.
Yeah, but I'll kindly ask the hosts if any of them is able to share it. They can do that for me. Can I carry on?
Yes, please proceed.
Thank you. So I was on the Moja Academy, where on the Moja Academy, we learned that we can increase agricultural productivity through digital education to help smallholder farmers through education, advisory services, and market access using Moja's next generation digital platform. The Moja Academy, in partnership with a CEI from the University of Johannesburg, is producing a wide array of user-friendly, research-based practical digital training curricula in agroecology or climate smart agriculture, CSA, geared to the urgent problems facing smallholder and rural farmers. The Moja Academy, in partnership with CEI, will add value to current government and university programs across Africa that have been established to boost agricultural productivity, commercialization, and industrialization. CEI has launched an agribusiness hub program, and they are integrating this technology in training the youth. And in the Moja Marketplace, on the case study with the Moja app, we learned that the users are able to have access to markets through digital tech to aid digital transformation and increase capacity. Digital technology facilitates linkage to markets. An example is in the Moja app, right in the marketplace, where a buyer and a seller are able to connect and buy and transact their produce right within the app. The goal is to revitalize economic communities and greater market access through with Moja's digital marketplace. Then we have Moja Microfinance. The biggest, which is the biggest problem that was even spoken about by the previous speaker, is the lack of access to finance by smallholder farmers. And in the case study with the Moja app, we learned that we could work to make access to capital, microloans, and insurance available by investing in smallholders and in small farmer holders in risky for most financial institutions. Agri-technologies such as Moja will assess the risks, constraints, lack of awareness, and understanding of finance and insurance facilities faced by smallholder value chains. To increase the resilience of poor rural households in the face of climate risks. That is the goal. And in the app, you will have a digitalized value chain. What do I mean by digitalized value chain? This is where it starts from a smallholder farmer. A smallholder farmer is able to access a digital training, a digital education that is within the app. They're able to access microloans and insurance that is within the app. They're able to access supplies and machinery through Moja Connect or Moja Marketplace, and also be able to produce or sell their produce, that is production, all within the app. This is a digitalized value chain. And then get to the supermarkets, local distribution, and get their revenue. So Moja's goal in South Africa is to implement a model, replicate it in several areas, and then have 100,000 small businesses operating on its platform within 12 to 36 months from now. I will end here. Thank you so much for giving me this time.
Thank you so much, Naomi, for the wonderful presentation. I believe most of us here, including myself, we have understood how Moja app works. Ladies and gentlemen, now I open up the floor for the questions. So there are two ways. I can take them directly because you were putting them in the chat box, but if you wish to set up the question direct to the presenter, you can just raise your hand and I'm gonna put you on the mic to ask the question directly. The first question that I have, as people will be thinking of posing the question, Dr. Fach, there is a question for you. What must change in the way extension is done to bring the latest research and climate smart protocols directly to the farmer? What must change in the way extension is done to bring the latest research and climate smart protocols directly to the farmer? Mr. Davison, your question is, how is the digitalization ensuring that the lay farmer is getting a fair deal for the crops that they are producing? How is the digitalization ensuring that the lay farmer is getting a fair deal for the crops that they are producing? And are their rights to economic activities being protected? The other question is going to Dr. Mara. There is a question on the applications that you mentioned on digital technology. So the question is, these applications for notifying the farmer of the prices, is there a guarantee that the said market prices are not inflated to detriment the farmer? The applications for notifying the farmer of the prices, is there a guarantee that the said market prices are not inflated to detriment the farmer? And the second question to you, Dr. Mara, again, is how often are the prices updated? And can the farmer have confidence that they are well informed on pricing as compared to their counterparts? So, Dr. Fachi, over to you. We'll start in that order. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How can we get the latest information and the climate smart agriculture solution directly to farmers, if I got it right? Okay, there are multiple means in which we can get the information directly to farmers. And when we just say farmers, we must accept that farmers are of different categories. There are farmers who are very much available in the digital platforms. You find them on WhatsApp, you find them on different digital apps. So those kinds of farmers, they need the information packaged in a way that meets their needs. For example, in Malawi, we have the Guide to Agricultural Production, which has most of the information on farming in Malawi. That kind of a book, which actually in other cases they call it the Bible of Agriculture in Malawi, needs to be there in the digital platforms. I am not very sure if there are a lot of farmers who have had a chance to see the latest Guide to Agricultural Production. But the PDF is there. It can go to so many platforms and reach the farmers very much directly, and they can utilize it to improve their agriculture. So that's one of the ways that we can be able to reach the particular the farmers with that kind of information. It has at least updated information. But the problem there is that that document is in English only. So we need to have that document translated into Chichewa so that there are more farmers who are available in digital platforms can be able to utilize that document. Currently, the way it is, because it is in English, it only can be easily utilized directly by those who have the ability to understand and utilize information compiled in English. So that's one of the things that need to be done, convert the Guide to Agricultural Production that we have currently into Chichewa so that more farmers in Malawi will be able to utilize it. It can be shared on the Moja platform. It can be shared on various platforms, the WhatsApp, Facebook, popularize it so that more people are able to get it. And the second thing that we need to do is to empower and update the information that the extension workers and lead farmers have. That way, they will be able to address the problems that farmers are facing directly out there in the field. And we must also understand that face-to-face extension and digital extension are not at loggerheads. Actually, they are complementary. So what needs to happen is that the extension workers, the lead farmers, need to be empowered through the digital means so that they can quickly find the information, the latest technologies, latest research, and whenever they are out there in the field, they can easily respond to the needs that are there and even go beyond the questions that they get from the farmers, but to create information and share information that takes them from the current level of production to a higher level of production where they are able to create wealth and even to have sustainable food security rather than just farming for survival. I think time is gone where farming for survival is being practiced. We need to reach a point where farming should be for wealth creation, for sustainable food security, and even for job creation. And that can only happen if we integrate the platforms, the face-to-face versus the digital platforms, to make sure that we respond and we upgrade the farmers to a level where agriculture is done in a transformative way in Africa and even in Malawi as an example. I think that's what I would say regarding making sure that the information reaches directly to the farmers. And for sure, the extension workers need to have the motorcycles so that they are able even to reach more farmers. But as I said, we need to integrate the digital aspects together with the face-to-face extension. They are complementary, and we can enhance the way the extension is delivered to the farming community out there. But one of the problems we have is that not many people are aware of the digital platforms that are there. If you go out there, we have a lot of apps on agriculture in Malawi, but how many people are able to know them and are able to utilize them? So we need to popularize the digital platforms that we have so that people can directly access the services that we're giving out.
Thank you so much. I see we are not doing well with time. We are a minute to go, but in 1 minute. Dr. Devson, how is the digitalization ensuring the lay farmer is getting a fair deal for the crops that they are producing?
Okay, I'll be short and sweet. So there are two types of markets. There's spot market and there's contract markets. So with spot markets, farmers can attain what is called price transparency. They'll be able to know the price being offered at different markets. So they have better negotiating power. They can reject if the price is not the right one. In South Africa, there's an example which I'm going to use. A farmer in Limpopo has an option to sell in Limpopo or a Joburg market. So what they do is they phone the Joburg market and get the price. If it's higher than the Limpopo market, they take their produce to Joburg. If it's not, they sell locally. So it gives power, digital tools, they give power bargaining tool. And when it comes to contracting, there's what we call smart contracts, but that's another topic for another day, where a farmer can work a smart contract on which there's a certain limitation whether the buyer is that price, they can terminate the contract or they can achieve the contract. So it's done digitally. But in terms of spot market, a farmer can make decision on the spot whether to sell or to buy. Thank you. Or to take to another market, not to buy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Quickly, I saw the hand of Her Excellency, Madam Chambo. Please pose your question. Just say it on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have enjoyed this talk, and I have two observations. The first one is, will you share the recordings? Because I find this to be very, very important. The second one is, Dr. Fachi, how do we intend to reach the very, let me say, uneducated Malawian women that are doing most of the farming in Malawi? You have mentioned the handbook that is going to be translated in Chichewa, but for now, how do we reach them? How do we teach them to use digitalization as the way to go? Because most of them are producing good things, but it's the middleman who is taking advantage of them and ripping them off. So there's I think, an issue of not trustworthiness by the middlemen. And I liked what Dr. Mara said, that those digital channels, they are trustworthy. So how do we begin to take this into Malawi now? Thank you.
Thank you so much. For the audio, it's going to be, the recording will be shared with everyone else. Thank you so much for the reminder again. Dr. Fachi, can you take that question from Her Excellency in a few seconds, please?
Thank you very much. In Kenya, there's a concept called digital entrepreneurs. Digital entrepreneurs. We are trying to introduce that approach, whereby we have some youth who have some apps, they have videos for extension and so many products, and then they go out to the villages and meet the farmers in the farmer groups individually. So we believe that with that kind of an opportunity, we are going to reach out the women farmers with the digital solutions, not just for production, but also even for marketing aspects. We also have a call center in Malawi run by Farm Trust. Any farmer who is on the area, just 8111, they will reach an extension worker right away. And those who are on the TNM can dial 7111. They will get an extension worker directly, just like that, just as soon as they call, and it's for free or already funded. So these are some of the platforms that are there that can be used to engage the farming community in digital and blended modes, so that at least we're able to respond to the needs. And the women, obviously, they are the priority, because they are the ones that are custodians of agriculture in Malawi. We cannot talk of Malawi agriculture with
I think we have lost Dr. Fachi, but we have gotten a very good part of his response. In 60 seconds, strictly 60 seconds, Dr. Mara, take up your question, please.
Okay, thank you so much. The question was whether the prices are inflated or they are not. This is a game theory problem in economic science and the incentives. So the technology is owned by not the buyers and not the sellers. He's independent technology provider. He charges the fees from the sellers and some fees from the buyers. So he wants to see both succeed. So there is no incentive of inflating the price from the price standpoint. So then we do believe that the price should be fair. And then the second question is how frequently the prices are being updated. It will vary from technology to technology and from platform to platform. But the ideal situation should be that the price should be captured on real time on the market, and it should be dynamic depending on the forces of supply and the demand in that specific market. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our presenters and the panelists and all the people that were giving their questions. I know there are a lot of questions that haven't been tackled yet, but this just shows how important these conversations are. I can assure you that this is not the final webinar. We have quite a series of webinars, as Dr. Prof. Rudolph alluded earlier on. So before we close, I want to invite Chifuniro Kandaya, a farmer and a development entrepreneurship catalyst and advocate in designing and implementing community-based development projects and green enterprise curricular development. He's just loaded. Please, can you make your closing remarks? But before that, just take us through a summary of key takeaways from this webinar. And what next? What should we expect after this webinar? Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much, Lisa, and everybody, the panelists. This was just excellent. I must mention that this webinar aimed at just laying a foundation of what is coming ahead. We have planned about 5 more webinars that will be coming fortnightly. So we have the next webinar in the next 2 weeks, and that webinar will focus on financing, agri-financing. And we're answering the question, the whole of that webinar, we're answering one question. Are there agri-financing opportunities in Southern Africa? And we are bringing speakers, presenters from South Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and they will unpack different opportunities that are there. And we'll have a wonderful moderator, Peter Yakobe, who works with World Bank, and is an expert when it comes to resource mobilization. So I don't want you to miss that. Join us in that meeting. So we want to encourage you, be part of this. Each one of us will receive a copy of the recording of this webinar. And the other thing we want to emphasize is we are looking at the possibility of coming up with a forum that can encourage interaction, networking amongst ourselves. And I know right here there are representatives of organizations. We want to reach out to you. You can see there are various gaps in the area of use of technology and how technology can accelerate agricultural productivity and even commercialization in Southern Africa, more especially when it comes to engaging young people, attracting young people into farming. We want to work with you. We want to carry this mandate together. We feel we have been called to create jobs for the youth through eco-inclusive agribusiness. And technology, agri-technology is a tool, it's a way to go. So we are calling you. Let's work together, let's hold hands. We are all aiming at achieving one goal. Let's do this together. Thank you everyone for joining. May God bless you. See you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you, bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Before everybody goes, can you just open up your cameras? We take a screenshot of our first webinar in history, please. Your videos, no matter where you are, don't be ashamed. You just want to take a screenshot. Just like a good photo, please. Have we? All right. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you for all the discussions. The panelists have done the very, very good work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I'll be the last one to leave.